I was 10 years old when once again, out of the thousand times, I was in the hospital. And I remember vividly that moment when, um, especially that night, when my mom left me around 5, 6 p.m. for my visit. So she always visited me during the day, and then she went back home to the family in the evening. So I kind of was feeling alone all the time. But of course, there were other people and children that were in the hospital. And so I also remember I always wanted to be part of the group of something bigger, of more than myself. And so we went for dinner. I don't specifically remember if I ate dinner in my room or if I went to the kitchen. You always could do both, either one. And so depending on how your health situation is. So I went into the kitchen and we had kind of a guide from the nurse, which were working as well during the night for us. And so, but the reality was they were also uh, part of uncontrollable things that we could do. For example, we could do whatever we wanted because we had no parent that told us what we should do or not, and the nurse, as best as they could, um, they helped us sometimes to navigate through life. But we basically were the patient, myself, we were kind of alone for ourselves, helpless how to do life. We could do whatever we wanted. So that night after the dinner, one of the guy who was a little bit older than me, about 5, 6 years older than me, he said, "Hey, we are going into the playing room, and there was a TV, and we are going to watch a movie." So we went there around 8 p.m. and we watched a movie. And the movie was about a father who completely lost control over his life, had financial problems, and went into a bank and wanted to rob the bank, and then had people kidnapping them. And so I was 10 years old. I was getting first time in contact with crime scenes, um, which at that point wasn't that, at 10 years old, you don't really realize what it does to your brain and what it does to your life. And you have fun because you wanted to be a part of the group. So we were like 4 or 5 people watching the movie. And so it was feeling great because it was something new, it was something exciting, it was something that was completely out of my religious perspective. I think also it was kind of contradiction to my beliefs that I learned from my parents. But anyway, it was fun. Just the the sense of doing anything you want without the parent. And the parent, they are like the hospital and the home that I grew up. It was like around 1 hour drive apart. So it was exciting. Um, and so this was a vivid moment that I remember where the childhood moment unintentionally triggered something in me that I lost distraction. And there were so many more events in my life when I was in the hospital where I had no whatsoever a guide of the parent that told me no or yes, that they knew what to do. On the other hand, the nurses always, and the parents as well, they felt sorry about the kid, about myself, and they wanted as much as possible to soothe the pain. So they let us do whatever we wanted. the nurse, not the parent. I'm going getting into how it works in my home a few minutes later. So that was the thing. That was what happened. No guide, no leadership, kind of, and so that triggered a lot of distractional way of living. No focus. Whatever I felt to do, I could do in a moment. I could go to a playing room. I could go to make the nurses mad. I could uh, joke about with the other patient, with the other children. We could do whatever we wanted. There was no whatsoever guiding what each little child needs. On the other hand, when I went home, it was kind of tough because my parents, they grew up really, really, I would say, conservative in a way, and they were kind of tough. And the emotional bonding at home was not really that big. No judgment here. They did. My parents were awesome and still are awesome, and did whatever I could do with all that was happening and going on with myself, with the family. And so it was the poor opposite of what I experienced in the hospital. And I was shocked sometimes because I couldn't deal with that. In the hospital, I could do whatever I wanted. At home, it was the opposite. There were a lot of chores. There were a lot of, disciplines, whatever. And so I always was like a boat on the big ocean with big waves. I was always throwing back and forth. And so I didn't realize that up to maybe mid 20s that this had a huge impact, that the childhood moments unintentionally uh, triggered a distraction in me that I'm not able to put it that way. For me, it's a real challenge to be focused on something for a certain period of time. I see that in my health. I see that in my business. I see that in my relationships with friendships. It's really hard to. So I'm so drawn to back into my childhood that when as an adult I want to do something, I'm happy about it. But as soon as I don't feeling good about it, I leave it, or I cut it, or I do something else. And so that's a real struggle if you are an adult. I don't know how you experience that. How is the focus going for you? Um, you can put it in a comment if you want. If how do you deal with that if you never grew up with a certain way of guidance, of leadership, of kind of how do I say, of the parent taking you on the hand to do the right thing above the bad things, or to keep focus even if it gets hard. I'm kind of a hard guy, yes, in terms because I learned on the other hand with my chronic illness to keep pushing, to keep going, but that was with the help of my parents as well. They encouraged me to keep going, but as soon as I left my home, which was very early on, with about 17 years old, I left home because um, we had so many conflicts, and that's another video to tell about. But the reality is, when I went into mid 20s, I realized I have no more guidance. I have I'm helpless in so many things. I feel helpless what to do when I feel the urge to give up, or if it doesn't feel like anymore doing it. So I realized that over the last few many years that many things I stopped doing because of that. And it doesn't lead you nowhere, because if you start something and then you do it, as long as you have the happiness about it or the feeling about it, and then the very little struggle appears, and then you stop it, you never get somewhere. And that's so frustrating. And so the solution to that is, I don't know. It's if somebody has difficulties to focus, it could also be a problem with his mental health. I think ADHD has that a lot. People with that, or autism, I think as well. I'm not sure about that, so I don't want to get into that for much. But we have become a culture of so much pressure as well that some people completely lose it. And if they cannot keep track of the culture or the community or the atmosphere that we are living in, they get lost. They fall back. They fall behind, and that's really hard to catch up because only of the matter of focus. And in a business term, we hear a lot of theories about, hey, focus is the most important. I totally agree. But it's so special and hard when you haven't learned something as a child. You are programmed to not do it that way. And so you have kind of to reprogram the mind, which was building up over 20, 25, 30 years. And so this is my real struggle in my everyday life as well. I have some habits that I do every day that I have not given up on it for years. Even uh, sometimes it went mad. For example, I play chess, I play piano on Duolingo, and I also learn uh, a language and Sudoku. But Sudoku I gave up 3 weeks ago because basically I was very good with the booklet that I had before, and then I was jumping too much to the next level, so it's getting hard, and so it requires more focus to solve a Sudoku puzzle. And so I'm trying to get into it, but I think you get the idea here. It's like as soon as it gets very hard over a period of time, I don't like it anymore, and I give up just because something unintentionally triggered me in my childhood that led me to total destruction of anything at any time, anywhere that I don't like to do anymore. So I hope this video has helped you some how to maybe um, to realize that it's not your fault that you are not able to be focused. It's not your fault that it feels like you cannot be focused. Um, Maybe it has something happened in your life as well in the past as a childhood, in the childhood manner. And so tell me in the comment as well, hey, I don't know, I'm trying to be focused. Um, how is focus for you going between 0 to 10, and what is your struggle with that? At what point of time or place do you have the most difficulties to stay focused? And so, yeah, that's the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much, and have a blessed week. See you next time.